Hello there, simps. So today we're gonna be discussing how could Hannah have won over Mike. Or to be more specific today, we're talking about the BBL theory and BBL Hannah. Some of you are probably wondering what is the BBL theory, and to answer your question, it's the theory that Mike would have chosen Hannah if she got a BBL, and in theory could have saved Hannah's life, altering what would have occurred in the story if she didn't fall off the cliff. And to anyone who thinks that the events of the story wouldn't have taken place if Hannah didn't fall off the cliff, I have to tell you that's false. The prank only caused Hannah to turn into a Wendigo, Beth died, and Josh went insane. But there were still multiple other Wendigos on the mountain due to what Jefferson Bragg had done in the prequel, so it would still be very much possible to have a story without the prank ever occurring. Anyways, now that we've cleared all that up, let's get right into it. So, if Hannah had a BBL, here's how I think it'd change the events of the story. Hannah would successfully win over Mike, and then Emily would feel humiliated getting dumped by Mike in front of everyone at the lodge and probably storm off. And Sam would have gone looking after Emily, and then that's when the two of them encounter Bub, aka the protagonist of the prequel, aka the Macapitu, who is fighting Jack Fiddler. And when he sees Sam and Emily, he chases them just like with Hannah and Beth, leading to both Sam and Emily falling off the cliff, and Jack killing the Macapitu shortly after failing to save them. I'm gonna skip everything else since we don't need this part of the video to be too long, as we're not even at the evidence stage. But long story short after all, that our savior, BBL Hannah, for the most part does most of what Sam did, saving everyone and killing the Wendigo. Now we can get into the evidence that supports this theory. First of all, some may wonder how a BBL could cause all this. Now let this simp cook, okay? Hear me out. Mike is confirmed to have mainly gotten with Jess for her appearance. It's why Jess says to Matt, "Emily too frigid for you too." And while frigid can also mean someone who is not very friendly, we gotta take into account most of what Mike and Jess talked about was sexual stuff. So clearly Jess wasn't talking about friendliness. And we know that when Jess does start to show more vulnerability, he calls it complicated, because Mike at the start of the game wanted someone who was physically attractive with little to no emotions involved. And that's the first bit of evidence we got as for why the BBL theory is valid and believable. Now some might wonder, okay, but why would Emily storm off? And there's a simple answer there. Emily has a canonical fear of failure, and we do know Emily may have a desire to appear popular and avoid loneliness, which is suggested to be why she got with Matt, according to Will Biles, who was the executive creative director for Until Dawn. So it's reasonable to believe Emily, hypothetically, would be in Hannah's position if Hannah got a BBL. And as for why Sam would bother going to look for Emily, I already mentioned in the previous video, but Sam is Emily's third highest default relationship. And their relationship can't decrease, and Sam and Emily have matching jackets, and Sam was able to immediately tell that the bag in the car belonged to Emily, which means she has to know Emily rather well. And lastly, Emily and Sam were at prom together, so they have a good enough relationship from what we know to where I can see her being the only one going out to find Emily. And if she could bother to try and find Mike, who she hated at the start of the story, then Emily is fair game. And if you still aren't convinced that the BBL theory is correct, and you think the story would play out the same with a BBL, you're dead wrong, because the BBL would ruin the mystery. Imagine a thick-thighed, double-cheeked-up Wendigo chasing you, you'd know immediately it's Hannah. Moral of the story, talk to a wall. The BBL theory is completely valid. BBL Hannah was not the hero we got, but the hero we needed, and it brings a new meaning to the term, thick thighs save lives. And also, Until Dawn's story would have unironically been so much more different if Hannah or Emily had a BBL. And we need the BBL mod as soon as possible to the Until Dawn remake modders. Take notes. Anyways, this has been #1 Emily Davis Simp. Let's mod BBL Hannah into Until Dawn, and I'll see you in the next one.